What's going on, guys? I hope you're having a very nice day. I hope you had a nice weekend. And today I'm going to show you this short video where I work on a few of my oak trees that I'm growing as bonsai. Some of them you've already seen, one of them. And actually I gotta apologize first of all because I realized that last video, the one with the pruning to develop back budding in the pine, I was toying around with the camera's settings, and for some reason, I left the lowest quality possible as a setting last time, so that's why it looks kind of ugly. But this one hopefully will be better, so yeah. And also the angle of the camera. These are tall boys. These are very tall, so we don't get the full shot, the full frame. Look at that one. And it's growing and growing, and that one is growing and growing. This is actually the one from the left. It's a bonsai from scratch, so it'll take center stage in just a couple of minutes. But yeah, meanwhile, let's focus on these two. Okay, so these two, I bought them as red oaks, American red oaks, Quercus Palustris, but Quercus Rubra, but I think they're Quercus Palustris, pin oaks, a type of oak that turns red. Yeah. That's why they call them red oak, but it's not the Quercus Rubra. I'm not sure actually, but I think that's the case. We can see this spring's new growth, so it's growing nicely. This one is growing in a colander, so we can see there. I've been fertilizing, organic fertilizer, and this one it's the same, but this was growing in a pot. In a little pot, and I just transplanted it recently. I just slip transplanted it, so we can see that the root base there is kind of interesting, but still I think it has a long way to go before we have a nice Navari. This one I fertilized with organic fertilizer, and you can see those lighter light color circles over there because I have a few little pots growing. I place them there so they can grow. It's a couple of little pines. It's just making use of the space, right? All the room that we have. Okay, so this one is growing in a bigger container, but same principle, right? Lots of drainage, nice soil, fertilizing heavily, and we can see that it's also growing nicely. And finally, number 3, we can see our little bonsai from scratch, growing in a little colander, already wired. And this is this spring's growth, so we can see that it's growing and growing. Okay, so what are we going to do today? What we're going to do, let's focus on these two, is like I did with the pine, get rid of all leaves that are no longer contributing energy to the plant, like this one, and also if we want to encourage the growth of lower branches, what we're gonna do, once these leaves have matured, we can go ahead and defoliate, partially defoliate. So we encourage this section of the tree to be bigger as, So what we can expect after applying this technique is that more little branches like this one right here are going to start to develop here in the lower section. And we can see that we actually have buds all along the little trunk. So that's something that we can expect, as I said. Same principle as with the pine. Remember to do this only when the leaves have already matured and not when the tree is just starting to develop them, to open them up. So we continue here, partially defoliating. Some of the leaves are damaged, so we get rid of those as well. I think this is heat damage because they're not used to the sudden increase in temperatures from spring. So yeah, okay. Here we go. Remember, always do this when the tree is healthy, when the leaves have fully developed, and it'll be better if you do it when the tree is growing, when it's active. That way the buds will emerge and we'll get them actually where we want them. We want them here, right? So if we were to cut this while the tree is inactive, new buds are going to come out eventually when the tree wakes up, for example in spring or autumn, but they will appear wherever they want, right? So I think that's it for this one. As we can see here, we have a long branch here, and we're going to stop right there because this is new growth, as you can see. The color and the texture of the leaf, this tells us that this is completely new. So we're going to stop right there. As you can see, the composition for this tree is going to be a show-in size tree, and it's going to be like this high. That's the final, the final height of this tree. This is all sacrificial. And we can expect it to grow taller and taller and taller and taller, giving us more girth in the base of the trunk. So that's the first one. Let's just put this aside. Let me see. Yeah, so we can pull this to the center here. And same thing. You can see this leaf is old and it's been damaged by the heat. So we can get rid of that. Okay, so for this one, what I want to do is make a broom style bonsai. And we can see that we have this V shape right here. It's cool, but I think it would be better if the entire growth of the tree started from here and started from here. Now on this side, we can see that we've already got some branching there, but not on this side. Still, we have a lot of buds here that could start to, become active once we prune a little bit. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to leave this untouched on this section, right? Untouched on this section. But yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Kind of cool. So we're going to defoliate this section. And then leave the top untouched. And for this one, remember we want to lower it in height. So we're going to go ahead and, we're going to go full lumberjack on this one. Yeah, it's kind of nice, isn't it? Kind of cool. And yeah, that's our operation for today, on this one at least. I'm going to move the camera a little bit so you can see the bonsai from scratch one, because it's really interesting. We can clearly see what I'm trying to do there. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so here we have it. As you can see, this is our little bonsai from scratch. And it's growing in this angle, so that's why you can see that's the reason why the soil is a little bit slanted to the side. Okay, so you can see that it's growing in this little colander and it's doing nice, because look, this is last year, right? But then it exploded. And we can see this is all new growth. You can see the leaves are shiny and green. So those we're going to leave. This one's right here, we're going to leave untouched, but yeah, we're going to defoliate some of these because they've already matured. So again, old leaves, all mature leaves. So the new buds can emerge. And very important, the upper section of the tree as well. All damaged leaves and mature leaves are in a section where we don't want them, right? So there we go. When you do this, be careful not to remove all of them, because otherwise you're gonna, the tree is gonna stop the flow of sap to that branch, and you're gonna have a dead branch on your hands. So we don't want that, because we want this little branch to continue growing and growing. So we stop at a certain point, right? So that's pretty much it. We can see that even though it's very small, we're gonna go ahead and remove this one as well. Even though it's very small, it's getting there. It's, you know, we can see here the soil, the little trunk, and here we have those little buds that I've been telling you. Those are going to become active, and they're going to be new branches and new leaves for this little guy. There we go. Okay, so oaks are really cool. I've been growing these type of oaks. I don't know if it's pin oak or the red oak, Quercus Palustris or Quercus Rubra, and also the English oak, Quercus Rubra, and they're really cool. They're very, you know, the leaves are very showy. The bark that they start to develop and the roots are very vigorous, so it's a nice species to work with and start to grow them as bonsai. So that's pretty much it, you guys. That's the last thing that we're gonna do on this little guys. Last thing that we're gonna do for this video is I'm gonna show you an update, and then we'll call it a day, okay? And here we have them. It's actually one update and one introduction. So the first one is this little black pine seedling. Remember that I have a video on how to start your little black pines? Well, this is the state they're in right now. We can see that this little guy is growing, and we can already see the mature leaves, right? Sorry about my finger, I just cut myself. So you can see the mature leaves or needles. We can see that because of that, we've already started to fertilize. Yeah, you can see that the soil is damp, and because of that, I think I've been overwatering this little guy. So that's something that we can do, but if we pay attention to the watering and the fertilizing and everything, it should be absolutely no problem. So it's growing nicely. So that's the first one. And here we have the second one. This is another species that I'm working as bonsai. It's Japanese maple. This was actually a gift from a friend. A couple of years ago, I visited China, and she gave me this as a present, and I've been working it ever since. While I was over there, a friend of mine mentioned that this was a momiji, right? So that's the Japanese name. But you know, there's tons of varieties of Japanese maples. So I don't know if this is an Atropurpureum, the Sojo, you know, there's lots of them. So if you are able to recognize it in the shot, please drop a line and tell me what cultivar or what type of Japanese maple this one is. That would be really, really helpful. That would be really, really cool. And we can see the colors are really nice. See that? If we look, there, we can see that they're really, really cool. Right? Sorry, I'm just messing around with the camera. Anyway, so the substrate is turfus with peat moss and a little bit of cocoa peat as well. It's growing nicely. I keep this in a, you know, partially shaded area where it receives dapple sunlight, and it should be absolutely no problem. So in the future, I intend to grow this as a bonsai, as I said, but also I intend to air layer it, because I've heard that their roots are very vigorous and they're very easy to air layer. So that's something that I look forward to. Meanwhile, we can see that the growth of this season, the nice little leaves, red leaves, are doing okay. So that's it, you guys. I hope you liked this video. If you have a comment, if you have a question or anything, please drop it down below, subscribe, and you know, I'll see you on the next one. Okay, bye-bye.